Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see everybody in chat. All right, what do we got? I got a little thing here. There we go. I got a little fur that is bothering. There we go. We got it. We're ready to record now. How's everybody in chat doing? Thanks for coming to Saturday's Shipyard show. Obviously, a bit of an off time, but that's okay. We do it where we can do it. Those of you know, I did delay this this recording a few times, and yes, I am running two mics tonight, and that is partially because I'm using the good mic for the show, and I'm using this mic for the side tone for voice chat, because I may have someone jump in voice chat with me here in a short bit. Troy, nice to see you as well. How is everybody? Are we getting excited for IAE? Obviously, the 4.4 patch has hit open PTU. You've probably all been checking that out as well. Seeing what Nyx looks like for the first time, especially the Glacium ring there, and Levski, again, look absolutely incredible. So yeah, had a great show the other day. Obviously, we kicked the doors down with our giveaway announcement, or my giveaway announcement, I guess. I keep using the R and we. The my giveaway announcement. So we are, and there I go. I just did it again. It's just how I talk, I guess. Anyways, I am giving away, as you all know, let me switch over to it here, giving away an RSI Perseus gunship, okay? The new big ship coming from RSI in just a few days' time now. I think IAE starts in, what, 12 days? So in 12 days, the Perseus shall fly the verse. I know a lot of you have been waiting a long time for this ship. And we're there. We're almost there, everyone. If you haven't already entered the giveaway, you can obviously scan the QR code on your screen now, or you can go to the Gleam link that I just posted into chat. Hey, real quick thing I wanted to mention to everyone. I'm going to start peppering it in slowly in shows. Not going to hit you over the head with it too much, obviously, is you may see at the very top of my page, you'll see a GPU fundraising animation there, and that is because I am slowly starting to fundraise for offsetting the cost of a new GPU to do not only production work, but 3D work for STARJUMP and Fleet Viewer upkeep and all that kind of good stuff that you all know and love. Kavotha, salute to you. Hope you're well, Troy. See a lot of great people in chat. But if you ever have wanted to donate to STARJUMP, donate to what I do, support in any of that capacity, but have been reluctant to do Patreon because it is a monthly thing, which I totally understand. Been reticent to do that. I do have a new coffee link, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to paste that into chat now. If you do want to support me and STARJUMP in any way with any sort of one-time donation, feel free to go there. It can be $1, could be $5, whatever. You don't have to either, though. Save your money for IAE as well. Don't forget, new ships are coming. Okay, make sure you save your money. But if you are so inclined, there is the link. I really appreciate the support. So we have the Perseus giveaway that is ongoing right now as we speak. We have another giveaway today, though. The Perseus giveaway will occur on, you can enter now, but it will occur on December 2nd. Okay, so it's the day before the last day of IAE. Okay, so before the last day of IAE, I will be giving away live on stream, pulling the winner, for the RSI Perseus, and that is a Perseus with 120-month insurance. Okay, and we don't know what the Perseus paint situation is going to be, but I might throw in a paint as well. Either way, we do have another giveaway that I'm going to do for today's show, where I'll be giving it away today. This is kind of a fun one because it's a really nice pack. I'm going to be giving away. Let me throw it over here. Another CitizenCon goodies pack. This is a really cool one, by the way. It comes with the Paladin flight suit, a couple of other suits, including the one that's sort of Vandal inspired that I think is pretty badass. And then it's got the Vandal plushie, the two new guns in it, the big mining orbit orbit piece. I don't totally know what that is. I am assuming that is in reference to Nix and in terms of the, the industrial mining stuff that's going on in Nix. I think that's the reference there. But either way, I'll be giving away one of these today on stream. Now, how do you enter that? Super, super, super easy. If you're on YouTube, I have pinned a link to the top of chat. That is to my Perseus revealed stream from the other day. All you need to do is leave a comment in there if you want. Leave a comment on that video. I'll pull a random comment from today. And then for those of you on Twitch, I'll probably do a Stream Racers in a little bit. Probably do a Stream Racers. And we'll take the 2 winners from both of those. We'll throw you in the wheel of names as we normally do. And we will give away the Silicon Goodies pack, okay? But if you are here, or if you found this channel because of the Perseus giveaway, which I totally understand, if you found this because of the Perseus giveaway, just remember that the Perseus giveaway is not until December 2nd. You can enter now, though. Okay, you can go to the Gleam link, and you can enter now. If you're on Twitch, by the way, I have added that Gleam link to the bottom About Me page, but I'll post it in the chat real quick here. Again, there's the Gleam link. That is how you do the Perseus giveaway. And again, that's already scheduled to end on the 2nd. So those are the 2 giveaways currently ongoing, Perseus and Sitcon Goodies Pack. Posted the coffee link. Thank you again for that support. Had a few people already donate in support of the GPU fundraising efforts. So thank you very much, all of you. I think I sent you personal messages. If I haven't, then you probably have a personal message that will be going out today. I'm trying to respond to everyone personally that donates. So I do appreciate that, though, sincerely. Now, today we're talking about Star Citizen's Lost Concepts. Okay, Star Citizen's Lost Concepts. Destroy says Grim gives everything away. I try to give back to you all. I really do. I really, really do. None of the channels are really monetized outside of our Patreon and now my coffee link, but like the YouTube and Twitch channels aren't really monetized in any way. So I do this for the love of it, and because I enjoy interacting with all of you. So I just like to give back when I can. With me in voice today, though, is VMXEO. VM, are you there?
I am mostly here, if you can hear me.
VM is mostly here. You're coming through loud and clear.
Awesome.
Yep.
Because Discord says it's not hearing me at all, and I was a little bit worried.
Chat, can you hear VMXEO? It looks like you're coming through on my levels really well. Looks like you're coming through really well. You know, you're a good person to have on this particular stream, and I know you weren't really planning on jumping on for this stream. You just popped in. I asked you if you were available, and worked out. But this is kind of one I've wanted to do for a long time, and you know, it just sort of took this long to sort of get around to it. And I'm calling it Star Citizen's Lost Concepts. It's a little bit of a weird title because you could say that these are not lost concepts because these ships all did eventually come out, right? The one we're seeing there on the screen is an early concept for the Crusader Hercules Starlifter. And the Hercules did come out. It just looked much different. They went with a different look and feel. But the reason I'm calling it a lost concept is that any one of the concepts we're going to be looking at today that CIG did not end up going with could still be revisited for a future ship. Why is this important? Well, it has a lot to do with the Drake Clipper. And that's sort of why I've been thinking a lot about this lately. When we first saw sort of the Flappy Bird look in the silhouette video, a lot of people were like, what is that? Funny thing, though, for me is I immediately recognized it. I immediately recognized it not as something I had 100% seen before, but that I had seen something very similar to it at some point, right? Let me pull up that Flappy Bird image. I had seen something like it before in Star Citizen concept art, and I went back and I went and looked through a whole bunch of stuff, and sure enough, I found some old Corsair concepts that, while not looking like this ship here, there were some similar elements to it. Vertical wings, all that kind of stuff. And yes, I know these wings probably do fold down into a different configuration, but again, it made me think of some of those really early Corsair concept images. And what got me sort of on this track was I was like, well, for something like the Clipper, maybe it's all new. Also, maybe CIG does pull up some of those old concepts from time to time and revisit things that they liked about previous concepts. Maybe it wasn't the entire design, but maybe just a component, wing, an engine, what have you. And they revisit that and say, hey, could we bring this into a new ship, right? So that was kind of the impetus for wanting to do this episode. And as I started going through a bunch of old concept art, my original plan was to pull like 15 to 20 images that I thought were really cool. And I'll be honest with you, I found way, 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 way more than that. I found too many to show in one episode, to be quite honest with you. I know VM with XEO here with me in chat. And for those of you who don't know, if you use StarJumpFleetViewer.com, I know the link just posted down there. If you are a user of StarJump Fleet Viewer, VMXEO, along with StarJump Starlet or Starlet, they are part of that team, along with myself. And the project itself would not be possible without all three of us. We all three kind of handle core critical sides to it. With VMXEO, VM, you handle essentially the flight ready ships now, which funny enough is all ships now because we're not doing concepts anymore. So obviously VM handling a huge portion, if not the majority of all the beautiful ship images coming into it. I am now mostly handling just the remaining concept ships that sometimes get juiced up, and then obviously conform, finishing, polish, and integration, and social posts and file prep and all that. And then Starlet is handling integration into Fleet Viewer itself. So everyone give VMXEO a nice big salute. Again, he does a lot to keep that project moving forward. VM, thanks for hanging out today.
Thanks for having me.
Also, all right, I'm just going to call it out. I know who you are in chat, and you just donated in a huge way towards the GPU fund, and you're an absolute legend. I got something special I'm going to send you. I know I'm sending you some posters because you had won those and they're super late, but I got something a little bit more special that I'm going to be sending you, and you know who you are. I'm going to contact you after this show, by the way. I got something pulled aside, a little special, unique. I only have one of them, and I'm going to send it to you for sure. So thank you very much. The Star Citizen community is truly, well, let me revise that. The Star Jump community is truly amazing. So thank you very much. VM, concept ships. Do you ever find yourself going back and looking at a lot of the old concept art?
No.
I love the directness of that answer. Why?
I had to stop and think about it.
Yeah.
What ships have I gone back to? Oh, okay, no, that's okay. I'm going to qualify because that's not entirely accurate. I have gone back to the Genesis Starliner a number of times because it's a very unique ship. The visual style is Crusader, but not really. And there's a lot I like about it, but it's also feels a little unfinished in terms of its concept, at least in its how it would be interpreted in game.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that is a concept I actually do go back to.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I agree. That's another one. And there's a lot of these type of ships, and we're going to sort of take some of these in a bit of a random order. For those of you wondering where a lot of this imagery comes from, it comes from primarily two places: the jump point issues, which are available to subscribers, and the vault, which is also a subscriber-based thing. Yeah, it's just essentially a repository of, old concept imagery, work in progress stuff, etc. Sergeant Perry, thank you for that subscription. And by the way, everyone, thank you for all the follows, because we do have a contest going on that tags into followers. I don't have my follower alert up, but again, do appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Okay, we're going to get started, and because we have a lot to cover, we're going to just sort of jump into this, okay? I'm going to start with ships for no particular rhyme or reason. We're going to look at some interesting imagery from those ships. Oh, and actually, VM, let me so you can follow along in real time. I am going to share my screen in the Discord for you.
Perfect.
There we go. Stand by if I can figure out how to do it. There we go. Okay. But yes, going to start sharing these from all over the place. We might jump around manufacturers. We might go down a bunch of one manufacturer for a while here. We're going to start off with Origin. We got a number of Origin concepts I want to go over. The Origin's an interesting one too, because so many people talk about like, oh, are we getting a 500 series? You know, and what have you, a 700 series I've even heard before. And the funny thing is there's a lot of really nice Origin concept ships and concept designs that I would love for them to revisit. So where we're going to start with Origin is we're going to start with the 100 series. Again, some of these you will see direct relations already. These are some of the original concepts for the 100 series. This was back when there's a couple of the looks that actually look very 400i-ish, almost like a mini 400i, with sort of a little bubble canopy, perfect for like a one-seater. There's also another option here that's very like ornithopter kind of style, which probably would have been a little bit too much of a direct lift. But again, really, really interesting. This actually, this first one here is they're pulling the cockpit type from the 85X. This one down here, they're pulling the cockpit type from the 600i. So you can see where they're sort of borrowing some of those parts and pieces. I'm going to run through a few of these for the 100i. I got about 4 or 5 of these, and then we'll sort of discuss for a minute. Again, more illustrations. Some of these top ones up here, I honestly think could turn it, like I almost prefer these more than the 300 series. In terms of they're about the same scale, but I almost love the sleekness here of of some of these early 100i concepts. And if that had been scaled up a little bit for the 300i, I think that would have been really cool. Another thing I see here when I look at these, I don't know if you get this reference. It may just be with the sort of the gray shading here, but it does make me think of like Kruger. Like what if the Kruger line expanded beyond the Wolf? Into other areas. I mean, like even down this one down here with the little engine nacelles on the end of the wings and stuff, very Kruger-like.
Very Kruger.
Yeah, very Kruger. I like it. Again, these are very unfinished. These are just gestural sketches, but very cool. And a lot of people, and the reason why we're just sort of running through these, everybody, is there's a lot of people that just have never seen these before, have never really looked through the concept ships in any way. Oh, by the way, everyone, I did want to mention one other thing. We are very, very close to hitting the metrics for partner on Twitch. So appreciate all that support, hanging out. Continuing on. This design is super interesting. It obviously takes references from the 600i, and I really like it. If they bump this up in scale a little bit, because we see our little player character here for scale reference, but if they almost doubled the scale of this, made it a little bigger than the 400i, I could see something like this being the 500 series, where it's starting to blend elements from the 400, mainly these wings, in with elements of the 600 series, and coming up with just something really unique for the 500 series if CIG was ever to do that. I think this, I don't know, I just thought there was something really interesting with this. Obviously, it's unrefined. The nose probably needs a little bit more aerodynamic kind of smoothness to it without any sort of struts or something, but I don't know. I think there's something there with this one.
There's a chunkiness to that one that reminds me of an Origin take on the whole A.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
got a much boxier profile to it, and it's not a backswept teardrop like most Origin ships are.
yeah, that's a great point actually. And as you get to, you know, especially with this, it'd be cool to have another Origin ship that does sort of have tie-ins with the 600i, because the 600i, compared to even the 890, the 400 and stuff, it does sort of sit outside the normal Origin aesthetics. I mean, it's still very, very, very Origin, do not get me wrong, but it's got some elements to it that feel different, and it'd be cool to have another ship in the series that sort of plays along with that. The funny thing with it is, and I'm not sure where your thoughts are on Origin ships, VM, but the 600i is one of my favorite looking exteriors in all of Star Citizen. Like definitely in the top 10 for sure.
It's mine, and in fact, I have it as my wallpaper on my laptop. That's how
Oh, do
much I
you?
like
Okay.
it.
Cool. Very cool.
It's yeah.
Very cool.
There is a certain flow to Origin ships. In fact, maybe we can talk about this once you've gone over all the concept art, because
Yeah.
it might
Um,
make my point. But there is a certain ratio and slimness to them they have that
mhm.
they're not chunky ships. They're very streamlined and they're very thin in one axis.
Mhm.
They tend to be long and thin.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This was an interesting tear sheet here. Again, this shows you how wide CIG can start sometimes when sort of thinking about where to take a manufacturer at a certain scale. And when you look at some of these ones at the top, there's some really interesting stuff going in up here again with that sort of referencing that 600i front end. I would love to see that on a smaller ship. Like this number 6 here looks, I love the look of it. But even number 3 here, if like say take 2 and 3, if Origin was ever to, and I do hope CIG does this at some point, but if Origin was ever to do something that was like industrial focused, I think it would be something along these lines would be really cool, because there's something kind of industrial but yet super sleek and high end about number 3. And for people that think, oh, well, they would never do that, in real life, that happens all the time. For example, Rolls-Royce, which is a high-end luxury brand, they make the engines for a lot of industrial stuff and aviation stuff. For a lot of people don't know that. The companies like BMW make very high-end sports cars, BMW and Mercedes, but at the same time make livery trucks and construction equipment. You know what I mean? Luxury brands can cross that divide all the time. Yeah, exactly. Mufasa says it down there in chat.
Yeah.
Ferrari's a manufacturer. So is Lamborghini. Lamborghini actually started as farm equipment. It started as a tractor maker.
Mercedes makes, I think it's their Sprinter line, which is
Right.
passenger and cargo vans.
Yes, exactly. The Sprinter line. So I personally feel like CIG can take Origin into a commercial or industrial place. Like imagine an Origin cargo ship, right? It doesn't need to be nice as a high-end luxury ship, but it can have elements of luxury in its design, right? I think they could do something here. Scrolling down here, you can see where CIG was really exploring some interesting places, right? And I'm glad they didn't go here. I don't think these work. But on an industrial standpoint, though, some of these top ones here totally could seem like an Origin industrial ship of some type. I would love for them to do stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. I think it'd be really cool.
Number 3, I think, is the one that jumps out the most.
Yeah.
It doesning exactly fit with the Origin style.
Yeah.
It's a little Crusader with that cockpit.
A little bit.
I can imagine this though as again going back to the Sprinter van.
Mhm.
That could be a small passenger transport, maybe for 6 to 8 people in the back that
Sure.
runs.
Imagine right
Yeah.
here, you have the small slit for the window, but you can see where they had another line here where imagine if that whole window, that whole thing was a window up front. You know what I mean? It would start to feel very almost like G12, right? The Origin G12. And
Mhm.
imagine if that was extended out to a ship. I don't know, just very interesting. As a matter of fact, I could see number 3 having been the inspiration behind the G12 to some degree. So,
Yep.
Pseudo Mexican says, Starjump Grim, per Astro Historian, so Paul Shelley, the 600i was originally a cargo ship. That's interesting. I didn't know that. But again, I think it would be cool to see CIG do that. I'm going to now move over to, again, some of these we're going to spend more time on than others. This next group here is the 400i concepts. Again, some interesting stuff going on here. I really like this first one. Looks straight out of like Battlestar Galactica or something. I just think it looks really, really cool. And I love the 400i. I love where they went with it. This to me, super, super successful. I could see this have been stepping outside Crusader, or sorry, Origin. I could have seen this being like another option for like what the Crusader Intrepid was. You know what I mean? The Crusader starter ship. This could have definitely been that. It's got the sort of layered wings with the internal intakes in the wings, all that stuff going on. You could have made this into the Crusader starter ship for sure. I love the look of that.
Got a little bit of that original Origin design
Little,
language look
yep,
to it, like the original 300i in there.
yep,
Just a little
100%.
boxier. Just a
Yeah.
little boxier.
It actually goes to show you how long and developed the 400i was. The 400i had been in development for a long time. Again, some other really interesting designs. Again, I think the 400i we got is more successful than some of these, but again, it just informs you a little bit on the shape language here. This is something we really have not seen with Origin, any of this kind of stuff. This to me, again, looks more like something we'd see from Kruger if you smoothed it all out and made it a little, futuristic retro. This would feel like Kruger to me, like a medium Kruger ship.
Very much the ship on the left has almost the
Yeah,
wolf,
kind of the wolf
rough
vibe.
shape
Yep.
language. Yeah.
These here, I found these. These were 400i concept images. Look how crazy these things look. I would, if this one on the left was in game, I would own it. Okay. These look super cool. They have sort of the Fury Guardian kind of design kind of vibe, but they're if they ran through the Origin blender. And I absolutely love the look of these. I really hope CIG revisits these. Again, as I said it before, I think this could apply to Origin. I think it could apply to Crusader. I think it could even apply to Kruger really well.
Looks almost like an 85X cockpit on it for the
Yeah,
main.
yeah. It's really
panel
wild, right?
on the left.
Yeah,
That's a slick design.
yeah. By the way, who was it? Jay Stalt, if you're looking for how to enter the giveaway, I just posted a Gleam link in chat. You can enter via that Gleam link. Good luck. If you're trying to go for the CitizenCon Goodie Pack giveaway that we're doing today, if you're on YouTube, you just need to go to the link pinned to the top of chat. It's a link to a YouTube video of mine where we discuss the Perseus. Just go there, leave a comment, and just say hello, hi, whatever. Just leave a comment there. We're going to pull one winner from the random comments. We're going to pull one winner from Stream Racers on Twitch. Put both of you in the wheel of names, and the winner will win the SitCon Goodies Pack. I love these though. I think these are just really, really interesting and something we have never seen from Star Citizen. Very cool. Moving along, again, some more wild designs. The one on the left here, again, just something I've never seen in game before. If any manufacturer was going to do this, I think Origin is the perfect company for this. This ship looks to me like if they were experimenting with like super high-end racing ships, right? I could see something like this.
It's got the feel and shape of the I'm trying to remember the exact name, the vulture droids from Star Wars Episode 1 for lack.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly what they're called. I'm sure someone in chat knows, but
Yes.
it's got that overall feel to them.
100%.
Very aggressive, very cool.
Yeah, I love it. Very cool. Continuing on, these I thought were super, super awesome. The one on the left, actually both of these. What I love about these is they start to resemble, especially they're the one on the right, it starts to resemble like a paper airplane where like paper is folded and it's almost like materials are being folded over. This is something we haven't seen from CIG. I don't know if Origin is the right manufacturer for this, but I could definitely see this being a Kruger thing.
And this is why you need the concept art, because you can't answer these questions until you see it.
Yeah.
Throw out a dozen design ideas, see which ones fits, and refine them down.
Yeah, yeah. And real quick, everyone, I'm going to bring up a quote here. I reached out to our good friend Ben Curtis and asked him if he could make a comment on sort of the lost concepts of Star Citizen, these concepts that unfortunately don't get to see the light of day. And Ben responded, which was very nice of him. And here's the message from Ben. I'm just going to quote it. He first starts off, says, "Hello, mate. Sorry for the late reply." He says, "I got to be a little careful with what I say about this sort of thing, so I'm going to have to give you a kind of high-level quote." And I think the reason he's got to be a little careful, too, is remember, the designers probably love all their designs to some level. It's like their children. And then ultimately someone, maybe CR, maybe a couple other people, make some decisions on which are going to be, which are going to continue down the development pipeline, which are not. So, in order to not show any sort of favoritism for anything, I imagine he wants to sort of keep some of this close to the vest. But what he does say is he says, What I would say, though, is that there are many, many cool ship concepts that don't make the cut. There are absolutely some I would love to revisit and see through to release. They might just have not been quite right for their intended brief at the time. And that's the important part of the quote I wanted to read, in that I don't think there was ever any inherently, wrong thing about this particular design as it was. It just wasn't right for the 400i brief they were given at that time with those gameplay considerations. So what does that mean? Well, it truly does mean that any of these could be revisited under the right circumstances, right?
Yep.
Also, thank you, Ben, if you're watching this. Thank you. Again, another interesting concept. This one's super bizarre. This one reminds me of the Reliant series. If they were going to redo the Reliant series, I could totally see it looking like this in a way. But I thought this design was really cool too. GearCon, nice to see you. Salute to you.
Grim,
Yeah.
something I was wondering, and I probably should have asked you this beforehand for stream to look it up, but do we know who the concept artist is on some of these ships? Because CIG uses a mix of,
Yeah.
they have their own internal concept artist, but I know especially in the past, they use a lot of freelancers to do this work.
Yeah, there's no clear indications in the concept art vault who did the artwork. It's unsigned. So we really don't know. There are some newer ships where we can identify who the concept artist probably was, specifically centered around ships like, for example, some of, what's his name? Michael Oberschneider, I think is his name. Him, Gavin Rothery, obviously. There's some of their ships that we can identify as the concepts belonging to them. Again, just a few more. These were 600i concepts, so these are actually probably even a little older. But again, I thought some really interesting stuff going on here. Probably the one that's the most interesting is something like this, where it's got elements of 400i in it, elements of 600i. I just thought was kind of an interesting concept, bit of concept work for this one. One more here from Origin, and we're going to move off from Origin for a bit. I wanted to take a look at the original 890 Jump concept images. A lot of people haven't seen these. This was back at a time when the 890 Jump was a much smaller ship. I forget exactly how long it was originally going to be in concept, but it was a smaller ship. It wasn't the 205 meters that it is now. It was a smaller ship. You can kind of see some of the designs here. One of the things that it used to have in these early concepts that I think was lost a little bit in the newer one that I think would have been really, really cool to retain was, and you can see some of these are really, so these don't work at all to me. They seem a little bit like two 1980s yacht. But on some of these Origin ones here, these back fins here, I thought really helped the ship not feel like it had kind of this, for lack of a better word, bulbous ass, right? Which the 890 still sort of has to me. But the fins on it, these little winglets on the back, I thought really sleeked it up on some of these earlier concepts. And I remember seeing these back in the day and thinking those were really cool. Here's a more finished concept image, and you can see the winglets back there. Whenever the 890 got brought up to scale, and turned into the 205 meter long cap ship we know today, it lost those, and they sort of smoothed out the entire ship and actually removed a lot of the detailing on it. Now, I think that was a good decision in that it made it feel more Origin, because I think these start to feel maybe a little bit like Crusaderish. It did make it feel more Origin, but there is some, like I said, there is some aggressive elements to this that I wish the 890 would have kept. There's just, again, it's minor things, but I think that would have been cool. Here's some more wilder explorations of the 890 Jump. This is back when it was a much fatter ship. And as different as this is, there are elements of this that I like. The big front end on it obviously could be smoothed down, but I do like how kind of robust the ship looks from head to tail. I do think that's cool. Our current concept of the 890 really thins out at the front, which is fine. But I do like some of these old concepts. I don't really think these fit with the modern Origin, but interesting nonetheless.
It's very I'm gonna keep going back to Star Wars on these older ships. The Republic destroyers. I'm trying to think of the class that
Oh
predated
yeah, yeah,
Imperial Star
yeah.
Destroyers. Yeah,
I forget
Venerator.
the
Was
name
it
of
the
those.
Venerator? Um,
Maybe
yeah, it's more prequel series, but same shape language. You have
they're
the
saying
more angular
Venerator.
front. Venerator, beautiful.
Yep.
Man, chat's so on it.
Yep.
And you had the same back end.
Yep.
By removing those fins, it felt less Venerator and more space yacht.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
By the way,
maybe
everyone.
that was for a good thing, though.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, again, I think the decisions made to sort of bring this back closer into the origin we know now was probably a wise decision. But I hope CIG doesn't get too stifled by the manufacturer brand guidelines that they don't allow the manufacturer to step outside its comfort zone. By the way, everyone, don't forget, posted the coffee link in there if you want to help with a one-time donation to StarJump. Feel free. If not a big deal. If you want to get in on those giveaways, do not forget we have a Perseus giveaway going on right now that we will give away on December 2nd, the last day of IAE. I posted the Gleam link in chat. Make sure you go do that. If you want to get in on winning a Star Citizen goodies pack today on this show, all you need to do if you're over on YouTube is go to the link pinned to the top of the chat or the one I just posted. Leave a comment on that video. That is one of my Perseus videos. Just leave a comment there. And then those of you on Twitch, we're going to do a stream racers towards the end of this and have a lot of fun with that. I'll take both of your names, throw it in a random wheel of names, and whoever the winner is will get the sitcom goodies pack. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to some fun ones. Yeah, go ahead.
I just need to offer a correction.
Yes.
Chat. Venator. I'm sorry. Venator.
Venator. There we go. There we go.
This is what happens when you have chat zoomed out way too small.
Yeah, it happens. I'm not a Star Wars expert.
I apologize.
So I'm not going to be I do know some of the ships, but I'm not a Star Wars expert. All right.
This is not the crowd to get your ships wrong of any franchise.
Yeah. All right, now we're starting with this bad boy, the 2018 abandoned ship concept from Argo that was very UFO-like. Not sure how many of you have seen this before, but really, really interesting. Can I zoom out on it? Stand by. Yeah, I can zoom out a little bit on it. There it is. Many of you will remember that we did our own exploration of an Argo capital ship, which I do need to circle back to. I never got VMXEO the mesh, and I failed in completing the image for it. So really what I'm trying to say there is I failed on all fronts with the the Argo capital ship project, but that's okay. That's okay. We can solve that. But we started to do our own sort of tests with doing a UFO style ship. Here is our original image we were making. You can see the UFO up here. This was our Argo capital ship. We do need to revisit that. That was actually a lot of fun to be making. So, but yes, that's what it was based off though. That is a really cool concept. I would love to see this come back into the verse. I don't know who it would be appropriate for. You know who I think would be appropriate for a ship like this, though, is Mirai.
It's interesting you bring that up.
Yeah.
Wasn't there at some point a Miss version of a UFO ship?
Very possibly. I don't know if I can remember it like visually in my mind, but I seem to remember there maybe being something. Yeah. Yeah. That seems somewhat familiar. But for anyone who's heard that before on episodes here or other content creators and that UFO ship is referenced, this is the ship they're talking about. It was only shown in a couple of seconds of an ISC, but really interesting design, something I hope they revisit. I do think it's probably more appropriate for something like Mirai or a manufacturer like that is willing to do things in kind of a different way, right? Let's move on though. Here we go. This one's apt for right now. These are concepts for the RSI Perseus. Those of you that remember good old Leaks back 2 or 3 years ago when Leaks was famous for posting stuff that it was not very accurate, will remember some of these concept images down below, especially something more like this, because that was sort of the sketch they released. And while similar, probably in design brief to what became the RSI Perseus, obviously the RSI Perseus looks much different and much better in my opinion. Now, these concept images are most likely from Gavin Rothery. who was one of the primary designers on the Perseus. Now, why do I bring this up? Specifically for two of them. I really think there is something to design option A1 and F1. I could see RSI doing these as ships for some other role. I don't know what they would be, but I really love the look and design of them. They do feel RSI, especially option F1, but they're doing it in a slightly different way. Yeah, I would just love to see them do something with this. I thought these were really, really interesting. Trispone in chat. Trispone, hope you're doing well, buddy. Nice to
Hey,
see you.
Trisman.
If anybody wants really cool Star Citizen content, make sure you check out Trispone's YouTube channel. He's fully building out the Drake Ironclad. And it's a brave endeavor that he's taken on. As some of you will know, that I did a episode with Trispone on the Kraken. He invited me on to talk all about the Kraken while he toured it visually, and it was a lot of fun. And I thought it got a great response from the community. So, yeah, so some interesting concepts here for the RSI Perseus. I really think F1 could be turned into something interesting.
B3, I like some of the design language on that. I'm almost wondering if
which one?
That's that bottom row.
Oh yeah, the bottom rows. I mean, it really looks tough. Like it looks like a brawler, you know.
And yeah. I hope that some of those design elements would look really good on the not the Aresta, the big Orion. I am blowing all my ship names tonight.
Yeah.
The Orion. It's got a bunch. It's got a much more industrial, tough feel to it. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying. Someone in chat said B3 is very close to what we have now for the Perseus. I agree with you on the rear end, but pretty much everything from the rear end, like the top turret, all the way towards the nose of the ship, is completely different to what we have now. Just the back end here is preserved for the Perseus. But again, there's some really interesting concepts here. I should have tapped Gavin to get some comments on this, but I forgot to do that. But anyways, some really interesting designs. We're going to keep moving here, though. These are some early designs for the Gatak Raylan, another interesting ship I know a lot of us are excited for. Out of all of these, I mean, I think the top one is very Raylan-esque. I mean, assuming the Gatak is going to have more ships at some point in the future, I thought some of these were really cool, especially this one down here. Like I could see this being smaller than the Raylan, but maybe some sort of scout ship, some sort of stealth E-war ship, like alien E-war ship. Hell, I could see some of these, like any of these ships being like an alien mine layer would be really cool. I don't know. I just love the design language of these Gatak ships. And it has me thinking a lot about the Raylan lately. You know, I'm one of the few people that thinks the Raylan is not in development right now. I know a lot of people think it's in active development. I do not, but I could be wrong. But the Raylan is a ship I do want them to get right. I'm not actually into alien ships at all. I don't have a particular interest in any of them, except the Raylan. That's the only one that really speaks to me. So,
I very much want to believe the Raylan is in active production right now.
Yeah.
Only because I have one on.
Yeah, you do have a Raylan?
I'm very patient. I do have a Raylan. I am very patiently waiting for it to come to the game.
Well, I was saying this. I was a guest on Space Tomatoes podcast this morning, and one of the things I said on there is that for all these ships that are being developed after engineering is being put in the game, are going to benefit from it, because there's one thing to say, well, the longer a ship's in development, the better, because it's going to be more close to gold standard. That's one way of looking at it. But I think the more important thing is all the ships after engineering is implemented will be better for it, because those ships can be built better around engineering and how the engineering system works. So hopefully the Raylan will get those benefits as well. Next, So next we're going to the Scorpius concepts. Really cool stuff with the Scorpius stuff. There's actually a few images I'll show in relation to that. I do love the Scorpius and where it landed. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I'm an owner of the Scorpius. I do love it. Regardless if it's the current best heavy fighter meta or not, it's going to be my heavy fighter of choice. But I have to say, I do love some of these concepts for RSI fighters. There's really not any of these that I don't like in some way. Even this one over here looks really cool. This one here with the really large wings kind of looks like a different sort of Eclipse. is really sexy. The inverse wing version here, Scorpius, looks really cool. On this next image, you can see some 3D renders of some of that stuff. This one down here, this is very much the Scorpius we got, but it's a little fatter, a little wider, a little bit more integrated. I actually think I like this more than the Scorpius we got. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I just thought these designs were really, really cool. I thought it was something that CIG could definitely revisit in the future. Like if they were to make a single-seater Scorpius, this is it. You know, the Scorpius is currently two-seater. If they were to make a single-seater, this is the single-seat version of it right here.
I think it's a good time to point out this is how much everyone wants this design on a redesigned Aurora.
Yes, yeah. yes.
Which is a fan concept. We won't mention where the fan concept came from, but it keeps showing up as official CIG concept art, and it is very much not. But I think that just goes to show how everyone either wants the Aurora to be redesigned with some Scorpius light wings, or they just
CIG's got to love you. They've got to love you for that piece of concept art. If anyone's ever seen the Aurora concept art where the Aurora's wings that go back are put out in the X formation, that is yours truly, VMXCO, who created that concept art and did a damn good job. So good a job at it that everyone thinks it's official. So,
this is why you put me in the community on everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think there's a lot of really interesting designs here that I would love for them to explore with RSI. RSI is one of those weird manufacturers where there's a couple sort of design motifs going on, and that's partly because some of their ships are really old, some of them are super new in both real time and in game lore time. So I don't know. There's a lot of really interesting designs with the Scorpius that I would love to see taken into more of light fighter and medium fighter territory. I would absolutely throw money at a single seat Scorpius. That would be like a go-to combat ship for me. Moving on. What are we looking at now? We're looking at concepts for the Misk Odyssey. Now, those of you remember when CIG did the original silhouette things that they used to do where you could pick one of the silhouettes. This was the image in there, and I always thought it was kind of interesting. It's more directly lifted from the Endeavor. Obviously, they iterated on that for the final Misk Odyssey, but I did think there was some interesting stuff here. Nothing that's like a big winner, but when I saw this image down here of the super wide ships, you know, we don't have any super wide ships. As a matter of fact, I would say the widest ship we have is probably the Hercules Starlifter. Hey, it's Ryan, Matt Gamer in chat. Ryan, hope you're doing well, buddy. Nice to see you. We don't really have any super wide ships, and it did get me to thinking about that. I think the next one that was on the block was probably going to be like the Banu Merchantman, and even there, they were having to figure out ways to fold the wings because there is a width limitation in the hangars. But I will say this, if CIG could figure out interesting ways to collapse wings or change the landing profile, I would actually really like some really wide, broad ships just to change up ship language where they're just not all long tubes. That's something I would get behind. I'm not saying this is a particularly successful attempt at that. I'm just speaking more from a design language standpoint. What do you think about that, VM?
It has a feel unlike most ships in the game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Concept 4 here.
Yeah, Concept 4.
I could imagine that maybe not like a bulk carrier in a something to carry, you know, whole B or C amount of cargo, maybe just behind it rather than on spindles.
Right. Yeah.
It just has a chunkiness of an actual freighter.
Right. Like if you've imagined if this top-down view down here, imagine if off the back of it were two long trestle superstructure pieces that just went back, and then it was just a lattice work for cargo to be extended out the back. Would be really interesting. Yeah, I agree. Again, really cool. Moving on. Now we're going to get to some fun ones. So these were concepts. Let me make sure I got it right. Yeah, so these were concepts for the Argo Raft. some original concepts for it. And I got to tell you, there's some in here that I think are super successful that I really want CIG to revisit for Argo. Specifically, I love this one down here. Here's the thing. I would like Argo to make a proper salvage ship, and I could see any one of these designs being converted into a salvage ship of some type. I think they're really interesting. I've showed the Argo raft concepts on stream before. They're just some of my favorites. They're just really interesting. I'm going to move forward here again. Here's some more Argo raft explorations. Again, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Mainly this top one up here I thought was super interesting in that it has sort of this like top opened out area. I would love this when I went back to the cargo capital or the Argo capital that I was sort of kit bashing. While I didn't show it on stream, this was sort of one of the original thought experiments I was playing with, which was this idea that, you know, with the raft, we have this place sort of underneath where cargo goes, right? Like it's underneath, sticks to the ceiling of of that lattice work. It'd be really interesting to get a ship from Argo that's the same, only it's got more of a flatbed that things go on top of. And what would be really cool is think about this, if this was an area back here where you could park small fighters, so think extra small and small ships, but it was a repair ship, right? So you could put damaged ships there, and there's tractor beams, which is part of the Argo thing. It tractors a ship in to that like little nest area in the back, and then that's where repair takes place. So when I saw this, I originally thought really cool big repair ship, which is when I did my Argo capital. That's why it started off as an Argo repair capital ship and then turned into a manufacturing one. But yeah, just an interesting thing. I thought some interesting designs here. So I will try to capture a few questions, everyone. I won't get into depth on a lot of them because we have a lot of concepts to go through. But Michael Shoemaker says, do you think we could get an Argo raft mining variant? And it'll be where the raft is in the IAE Expo. So for those of you who don't know, the IAE Expos are in the current build on PTU. You can go to the show floor, and they have some weird, interesting areas. The raft has a kind of prominent area on the main show floor, kind of oddly forward of, sitting right next to like the Perseus and stuff. I do think that's meant for the raft because there's some other elements there that do tie into the raft, and it does have final signage. There's a lot of other areas on the show floor, though, where they have an empty space and maybe no type in for the ship name. Those are probably going to be new areas. For example, on the Drake show floor, there's an obvious place for the Clipper, but then there's another empty area that looks like it's for something small, like a Buccaneer or something, that's empty and oddly empty, and there's no sign there, almost hinting at maybe another Drake ship that we don't know about. So again, it's sometimes hard to read into that stuff, but if you go to the show floor, you'll be able to see some of that. By the way, everyone, thank you for those continued those follows and subscriptions. Really do appreciate it. Moving on. Okay, Zeus concepts. We're getting to RSI Zeus concepts. Nothing to go into too much here. I think some of these were pretty successful. You can obviously see the DNA tying into the RSI Zeus. By the way, VMXEO just re-rendered the Zeus images for Fleet Viewer. We'll get those integrated probably during IAE. But one I wanted to point out specifically was this one down here. I just thought this one was really interesting, and I love the real long linear kind of tube-like design of this one for RSI, especially this side view here showing how thick it is. I could see this being some sort of RSI sort of 400i competitor or something like that. I think that would be really neat. I don't think RSI needs any more ships in that size category right now, so I'm not suggesting that, but I did like the look and feel of this one a little bit.
It looks like a baby, like a larval Polaris that's just hatched out of its egg, but hasn't grown to full size yet.
Yeah, that's a great description of it. Yeah. Moving along. Some more Zeus concepts. Again, just showing what you can see elements here, though, where they were playing with elements of the galaxy being integrated into the Zeus. Just going back to the Zeus, I think this one's really interesting. I don't think we've seen the last of this. The Zeus, which one is it? The ST, that touring variant we know that is possibly coming, does come with this sort of spoiler design motif in the back that is reminiscent of the Galaxy and the Arastra. So we may see more of that in the future from our side. Okay, now let's get to some fun ones. These are Drake Ironclad concepts, and there's a lot to love here if you're a Drake fan. I'm going to start right up here with this one. Obviously, this is very Ironclad, but to me, this is a little bit of a different take on the same idea, where the Drake Ironclad is sort of meant to be a transporter that relies on the cargo being enclosed and armored and protected. And it comes with the, obviously, the command module thing that can be disconnected. To me, this one could almost be considered a variant of the Ironclad, where it's exposed cargo and no command module. So a little bit more focused on actual cargo carrying and not cargo protection or ground vehicle support and stuff like that. And when it comes to cargo ships, I could see players who prefer the open cargo, option of this over the closed version of the Ironclad, just for ease of getting the cargo on and off, offloaded quickly and what have you. I just love the look of this. Had this been the Ironclad, I would have still bought it. I love these like big sort of blocky port and starboard side guards that sort of frame out the cargo area. Just really, really cool. This does look smaller than the Ironclad. If you look at the little person down here, this does look like it was scaled, like a scaled down version. But again, I think this could have been an interesting ship to come to the Drake line, and you never know. Maybe we'll get it.
You want to hear my take on it?
Let's hear
it. If anyone from CIG is listening, make this. So take the Ironclad, strip off the front, pull on like a whole, a raft style top anti-grav cargo deck, where you can load it from the bottom, and sell it as a gray market Shiv rebuild.
Ooh, I do like that. That's a great idea.
Like a super cheap, low end reclaimed Ironclad / raft.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. By the way, we got a great crowd today. Got 96 over on Twitch. Absolutely amazing. And how many do we got? 214 on YouTube. Incredible. Thank you all for the support. I feel very good today. I got VMXEO in the co-pilot seat. Can't have a better ship expert, in my opinion, on with me other than VM. Mithras just cheered 100 biddies. Thank you very much, Mithras. Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for all the follows and subscriptions today. Again, I'm not going through listing all the follows because I know we have that giveaway going on, so I'm getting a lot of follows right now. But thank you all. I do appreciate the support. And if you're coming here just for the giveaway of the Perseus, stick around. You may like the conversation. We do a lot of discussion on spaceships on this show. So, and here's the thing. I've heard people say, I don't care about spaceships. I just care about the gameplay. Where's the gameplay? Well, the reason I care about ships is the ships are the key to gameplay in Star Citizen. Gameplay is done through the ships. That's why they are so important. That is why the spaceships are the figureheads to the game, right? They are what unlock, and by spaceships, I mean ground vehicles too, but they are what unlock the game for us. Okay, so that's why we focus so much on them. So, Admiral Kusanagi in chat, hope you're doing well. Admiral, appreciate you, bud. Are you still playing Scum, Admiral? How's the Scum 1.0? I was curious how Scum 1.0 is if you're playing. But yeah, I love the Ironclad. Here's a whole other take on the Ironclad. Very, very different. Got a very pronounced cab up here. This is, I'm going to talk real quick about this. Obviously, one of the ships we're going to look at is the Kraken, okay? And some of its early concept images. CIG has even showed some of these early concept images for the Kraken on several different shows in the past. And it's, for some reason, CIG keeps going back to that well, okay? And let me explain. Actually, let me pull this up, and it's really interesting. And I can tell that someone on the CIG team really wants to get a ship made with this design line. So one of the original looks for the Kraken was this right here, okay? And several CIG members even said that this was a favorite, like one of the developers' favorite. They really liked where this was going, right? The idea here being that it's got these sort of two long pieces that jet out. Okay, and there were several different versions of this. This wasn't the only one. Here's another one that doesn't have the piece connecting in the middle. But the idea was these two long pieces. Now I want you to remember these pieces. Matter of fact, remember the top element here, how it angles down, etc. This exact piece is in the current Kraken as the nose piece, but flipped 180 degrees. A lot of people don't know that, but it's there. But if I go back to these ironclad explorations, well, this one's not it. If I go back to the ironclad, you see this piece here that juts out and it's got this up here at the front. It's literally that piece again, flipped around, right? They use this piece a lot. And I'm going to show you some other places they use it too. Someone wants to get some really long protruding Drake ships made at CIG, and I'm all for it. I do think it looks really cool. But yeah, there's another bit of that design language here. You can see this idea for the ironclad was much, much different. I don't know if this looks Drake-like to me. It does a little bit, but it also looks a little bit like there's almost like parts of, I don't know which manufacturer, maybe parts of like the RSI Orion. It's got that some of that kind of vibe going on with it. Not directly, but just tangentially. So kind of interesting. I really like these though. I would like them to go back to version B here and explore that for maybe some sort of Drake variant, cargo variant. Moving on. Here's some additional ironclad explorations now. We won't spend too much on these because, again, these are very, very similar to what we are getting. Now, but I did want to zoom in on this one piece here. Remember those pieces I was talking about? Imagine if you turned off the middle section of the ironclad. You've got those two long pieces here, and you can see the similarities here with the geometry that were present in the Kraken's original concept. It makes sense that Gavin Rothery designed the Kraken. He also designed the ironclad. If I had a feeling, he went back and explored those again. So if you look at the underside of this ironclad concept, you can see those two long pieces that I was referring to that we saw in that Kraken concept art, right? It's a concept that sort of gets brought up again in Drake concept art and something. Well, I guess we're going to get that a little bit with the ironclad, but the ironclad with its enclosed capsule, you kind of lose the visual of those two long pieces going out. I do like the engines setup on this one, though. I think this is really cool. The exposed engines pushed back like that. It's just really interesting. You can see some of the command module stuff they're playing with. I don't think this is as successful as where they landed with the current ironclad, though. So I am glad where they've landed with it. But interesting studies nonetheless. So, all right, moving on. Some additional ironclad concepts. Again, there's a lot of interesting stuff with this. I'm going to go up here to some of these versions real quick. Again, you can see the two-pronged version again. Slightly different engine setup, much bigger command module section now. If you look, this command module here looks like it's a damn near a medium ship in and of itself. Much different engine layout. So just very, very interesting looking for Drake.
Version D is almost what I wish the Liberator becomes.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. It's really interesting. Some more designs down here. Zoom into this area. You can see version F and version G. Version G is kind of interesting because it's sort of bridging a little bit of like Caterpillar, a little bit of Corsair, a little bit of Ironclad. It's kind of all coming together. And as someone who knows the parts and pieces of ships as good as me, because yes, I study the hell out of them, I can see the parts and pieces they were kit bashing with, which is a lot of fun for me. Sometimes it's like playing Where's Waldo. So for example, this piece here, you see this middle piece here holding the engines? Just kind of looks like a random piece. That is actually on the sides of the Kraken, like the engine, back where the engines are. This is the piece that holds the Kraken engines on. And I think those are the Kraken secondary engines. So I think they literally just lifted this back piece and used it, which is kind of funny. Again, you can, when you look at concept meshing, you can see this stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll bring up real quick to show you. This is kind of fun to do. Whenever I see this stuff, I will pull it up and take a look at it. Let me go to side view. Yeah, you can see it right here. Here's our two side engines, and here's this piece in the middle. Now, what they'll do when they're kit bashing is they'll scale some things down, lengthen it, make the engines bigger, whatever. But you can see that element there, and then I'll go back to this, and you can kind of see where that carried over. Kind of interesting. Yeah, I think they did some really cool explorations on the Ironclad. Ultimately, I'm pretty happy on where they landed, though. I really love the Ironclad design, and as I've said before, excited for that ship to come to the verse. So, moving on. Ooh, okay. Let's get a little scary. These are Star Lancer concepts. And I want to zoom in on this one and get your opinion of it, VM, because I know you were a Star Lancer fan, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Freelancer fan too, but
Yeah. Thoughts on this? Obviously, not a super detailed mesh, but thoughts on the overall shape language.
a Starfarer and a Freelancer had a baby,
Mm.
and it got neither parent's good looks.
Yes, exactly. I totally agree with that. Some other interesting designs here. You can see that follow through. I really like this one down here with the forward swept wings. Kind of interesting. Definitely some Starfarer vibes with some of this stuff. It really gives you an idea of how crazy they experiment with. Like this one down here in the lower right. I mean, look at this craziness with like sort of the overhanging bridge area and stuff. Just really wild designs. Yep, there's the Star Lancer though. Some kind of interesting stuff there. Nothing super successful. This was Guardian concepts. These were MISC Guardian concepts.
Ooh.
I really dig these ones with the sharp points going forward on the uppers like this. To me, this felt super aggressive. It almost felt like if humans were inspired by Vandal ships, if that makes sense. Iceer, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have you seen these yet, VM? Thoughts on the Guardian
I have
concepts?
not, and I love them.
Yeah.
If we got a version of that in game,
that'd be a buy for you. Yeah.
Maybe two.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I think these were super super successful. I would love to see more of these, especially these ones with the sharper points. They have that aggressiveness that the Guardian has, but if they were going to take the Guardian and make something that's a little bit more, I don't know, like 45 minutes, huh? Okay. But yeah, I just like the aggressive nature of it. I think it's really, really interesting.
It looks like it'd be something that's more aggressive but less suited for combat.
Yeah,
So like
true.
a personal transport.
What if it was like a competitor to the Eclipse?
A bomber. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Have to think about that. I don't know where it would have room for their torpedoes, but I'm sure you
Yeah,
could
it's true.
find it.
That's true. Definitely interesting stuff, though. Moving along, we're going to flip the script really quick here. We're going to the Drake Golem. Those of you that have seen the Drake Golem, you'll remember back when I attempted putting 32 SCU boxes on it. You can see CIG was thinking the same exact thing. But some early work on the Drake Golem. I think there's some interesting stuff here. There's some that I even kind of like more than the Golem we got, and that's option B. I think the option B here is really cool. These big boxes here on the side, I think would have been redesigned in a more interesting way, but I kind of like the short, stubby vulture arms. I think that would have been really interesting. There's some cool experiments here with the Golem. I think I have one more I'm going to flip to for Golem. Obviously, this one here I thought was really cool and very industrial looking. Yeah, I like these. I'm not sure exactly why CIG didn't go with some of these or went with the Golem we have over these. It'd be interesting to have that sort of backstory. This one here is super asymmetrical, which I thought was kind of interesting. We don't really have a ship that sits like this, where you have the cab so far over to one side. I'm not sure how that would be to fly, but interesting nonetheless. You can see this is the Golem, though, because you can see the big mining arm folded up there.
These would make interesting ground vehicles, especially option
Oh
B
yeah,
and B2 if those were not vulture nacelles, but maybe dragonfly nacelles, where you have some sort of larger hover vehicle that can take 16 or 32 SCU
yeah,
crates.
yeah. Really cool though, nonetheless. These we didn't look at yet. These were, I think these were Mantis concepts, early Mantis concepts right here,
Hmm.
which are really cool. You can see some of the design carry over with some of those Scorpius designs, which are really cool. The funny thing here is I love these, a lot of these, more than I love the look of the Mantis. I was never a huge fan of the Mantis myself in terms of its look. I know a lot of people love it. I actually like these a lot more, like several of them I like a lot more than the Mantis we have. But it'd be, again, this number 5 here is really cool because it goes back to that, like if this is the cockpit, the super wide wings here, there's something about that design language that's just really cool. I would love to see. Yeah, there's some successful stuff going on here. Moving on, because we still have quite a bit to cover, everybody. Moving on, Liberator concepts. I picked
Ooh.
4. I'm going to show these 4 first, and then there's 2 more I'm going to show. Really interesting concepts. I remember when the Liberator first came out, I kept gravitating to this one here, primarily just because I thought of the easy on and off flight characteristics of just the single deck running through. Upon further thinking, I understand why CIG's given it this sort of 2-deck design that the Liberator has now. So I'm not mad at where they landed on the Liberator. I do still think the Liberator has some interesting design characteristics that could be altered to make variants even more interesting than what the Kusanagi, or sorry, what the Liberator is. I just saw Kusanagi chat pop up in chat, which is why I said that. The Liberator itself, I don't think is going to play much of a role in my fleet, but I could for sure see the Liberator being useful for variants such as a repair ship, etc. We know that the Anvil has the Crucible as well. I constantly think, when I think about the Liberator, oh, there's C Daddy CAG. C Daddy, hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out. C Daddy says, so glad we're getting started on this. I think a lot of people are. There's a lot of people excited for the Liberator. But I could
I am.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say I am very curious to see how the final product for the Liberator is going to turn out.
Yeah,
It's
too.
mostly Anvil, but they're kind of straying away from some of the core Anvil visual styling, and I'm not sure how they're going to fix it. With, for instance, Anvil always has that prominent circular feature on pretty much all of its ships. Where do you put something like that on the Liberator? We'll have to see how creative they get with it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I almost wonder if they would do something where the circle's sort of split in the middle, where you don't have anything in the middle, but just on the sides you have like a little bit of like a half arc, you know what I mean? Insinuating that there's a circle there, it's just missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some interesting concepts here for the Liberator. I like this one where the runway starts narrow and kind of angles out. I thought that was kind of cool. This design here, this sort of top-down design, again, I just think it's really interesting. For me personally, I think I might like this even more than the Liberator that they landed on as a final. But again, the final Liberator we got, I think will have much more interior space to play with, better support for ground vehicles, and other things to go along with that. What I hope, though, with the Liberator, what I think would make it more interesting to me, and here's some additional concepts, with this bottom one being especially interesting because it's a little bit more of a flat deck plan. But where I hope CIG goes with the Liberator is I think its shipping ship role is interesting, but as I've said with the Kraken, I don't think the ship carrier getting ships from A to B is enough anymore for those ships. I really think those ships need to do 2 things and specifically with the Liberator, one thing, and it needs to be really good at repair, rearm, refuel. And I believe it has those
Yep.
capabilities, if I'm not wrong. So as long as they make sure that ship launches with that functionality, that repair, rearm, refuel capability, then to me, what happens with the Liberator, and the same thing would happen with the Kraken with its RRR capabilities and the Kraken's ability to transfer massive amounts of cargo, you end up with ships that become way station ships, right? They're ships where other ships stop off on to get services and or do transfers. That to me is super interesting. Than just, hey, we got to get this ship from Lorville to freaking Castra. I think they'll be useful
We'll
for
have
that, but I don't. With as many space stations we have throughout these systems now, I don't see it
Sure.
that being like critical anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, mobile Lagrange points. Matt Gamer says it. Ryan says it there. Sort of like mobile Lagrange stations. You know what I mean?
We'll have to see in the future if fighters keep their current range, quantum range, or not. Because should CIG decide to shrink their quantum range, then a ship like this become a lot more valuable to get them between A and B when you don't have the Lagrange points.
Yeah.
But we'll see if they go that route or not.
VM, do me a favor. I got to grab something real quick. Would you mind talking your opinion on the Liberator a little bit more in depth? I'll be back in 30 seconds.
I have opinions. I
Okay.
don't know if chat wants to hear
Talk
my
away.
opinions, but oh lordy, yeah, no pressure here. Chat, I'm going to start opening this up to questions because the more questions you add, the less things I have to think about what I'm going to say. But Liberator is one of the most intriguing concepts for me, but I am not sold on the current concept for it. And it's one of those that I've actually played around with in 3D. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see how the final version turns out. What are your thoughts on the Liberator? Please tell me, because that's the extent of my opinions. Durstroi says, my org has a Kraken and a Liberator. My org co-founder, rather, has a Kraken and a Liberator. Does your org have plans? Do you want to use them both as base ships? Or do you have different plans for them? Just too bland. I hear you, Deco the Gecko. I think it's just too bland. CS says it needs to be bigger. Also true. Okay, I'm getting all kinds of things here. It's a cool idea, but kind of useless in the game as is. Agreed. It was primarily designed to add range to fighter ships, and currently fighter ships have plenty of range, even in systems like Pyro. The single pilots can do everything, and carriers, tankers, and capitals become useless. Cannot allow everything to be done solo. That's from Minikill. Very much agreed. Vanguard should have double the quantum range. That's an interesting thought. Keep some of your heavies as long-range Vanguard fighters. And others, maybe we need more to be light and stub without jump capability. Boring ship. Bedlog, maybe. Fancy doorstep. I'm seeing some very polarized opinions in chat right now on the Liberator. Kusanagi agrees. We know light fighters have a limited range. Need to stop a ton of times going from Crusader to Microtep. Gladius, for example. It's what, 2 or 3 stops? I'm trying to think, Kusanagi, to get from Crusader to Microtep. It's been a while. I don't usually do it in fighters, so I can't remember. But what if they made the upper deck retractable? I know they want to do like a retractable bay door so you can put ground vehicles on the second floor, but I think that's staying with the concept.
I'm back.
Grim, I don't know how you do this. Chat's been sitting here trying to have to listen to me for the last 5 minutes, and
I'm sure it was riveting.
The viewer count has gone up and not down, and I'm baffled.
It's terrible.
As to why. So
your future in streaming is assured.
This is why you get paid the big bucks, and I'm just the co-host who listens and stays quiet. So,
by the way, everyone, do not forget, we are doing the Perseus giveaway. We'll be giving that away on December 2nd, day before the last day of IAE. Make sure you get in on that if you're interested in having a chance to win a RSI Perseus. There's the Gleam link down in chat, or you can scan that QR code real quick. It's free to enter. It's going to be a big giveaway. Get in on that if you want that new gunboat. If you're wanting to support me or STARJUMP with more of a one-time donation instead of doing something like Patreon, we now have a coffee account, which is right there. Feel free to. Really appreciate that support as well. Anyone that donates, I will end up reaching out to you personally to thank you. So again, appreciate that. And then last but not least, if you want to get in on the CitizenCon digital goodies pack giveaway, which I'm going to give away on today's episode. Oh, I'm almost out of breath. All you got to do is, if you're on YouTube, there is a link pinned to the top of chat. Just leave a comment on that video. That is one of my Perseus discussion videos. Just leave a comment there. And if you're, I'll pull a random winner from that. And if you're on Twitch, we're going to do a stream racers. I'll pull a random, we'll pull the winner from that, not a random one. Pull the winner from that. We're going to put both of your names in the random wheel of names, spin it, and the winner gets the goodies pack. Okay. Continuing back on, everybody. Okay. So that's our Liberator. Now we're going to move to some Apollo concepts real quick. Here we go. This was an RSI Apollo concept. Very different. You can see the outlines here for the bridge section, which was more up top and back. Very Perseus style. Cargo room, patient room, and bridge. Obviously, these weren't explored with too much depth to them because they didn't really block things out other than just sort of cordoning off certain areas for the ship and its internals. But super interesting. I agree with Shepard as commander down there. It's got a little bit of a consolidated outland vibe to it. I could totally see this being a casino ship at some point.
This design makes me appreciate the current Apollo more.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the current Apollo is like a high watermark ship for, you know, and I say that about a few ships. I think the Paladin is one, the Polaris is one, looks like the Perseus is going to be one, where CI just like nails it. You know what I mean? The exterior and all that. And that's all we can sort of judge on these. But on the current Apollo that's in game, they really did nail that ship. It came out fantastic. It's got a great interior, great exterior. I love it. These do seem more consolidated outland, though. I would agree with that. I do like down here, though, just some of the detailing along the lines here. You can see where this was originally supposed to be that skylight area that we have in the Apollo now. This probably would have allowed for a bigger medical area, but again, the current one we have, I think, was the more successful design. Moving forward, here is some additional Apollo designs. This one on the right here is pretty cool, just for the amount of windows that open it up. I think that's really cool, and it does feel very medical ship-ish. I would say, though, that this one doesn't feel very RSI to me. Because RSI doesn't really do this with the winglets here in the back and stuff like that. But I like these. These are interesting. Moving
cool.
on.
I just don't know who it fits in with.
Yeah. Crusader, maybe? I don't know.
Anvil someone. Shepard says little anvil. Yeah, it's a little anvil.
Yeah, I could see that.
Not strongly, but
yeah, I could see that. There's a little bit of that DNA there. There's a little bit of that DNA. So those are concept models from the Apollo. Next, let's look at a series. I'm excited to look at these. Maybe you will be too, specifically for one. I got a question there from Mostly B. Question: if you played with engineering Evo test, do you think there's a place for penetrating shots to kill players like pilot inside the ship? Maybe, but my only concern with that is that Star Citizen is really not built around instant death. It just really isn't. The game's got too much friction in it that instant deaths, I think, are going to be problematic. So a random shot that comes through your cockpit and just kills you, I think is going to be very, very problematic for the game. I think you're supposed to have the protection of the ship first so you can take those evasive actions and get out of there before your character goes down. Well, not so much kill, but hit injury. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see about that. Personally, I think the ship should give you a modicum of protection first before you're hit. We're going to look at the Ares now. These are some rudimentary designs. This one's not super interesting. Neither is this one, but this next one is something that I thought was really nice. I'm curious about your opinion on it, VM, and that is this one. very hawk-like. If Anvil, or sorry, if
Mm.
Crusader was doing a hawk, I love the aggressive angular nature of it. Still the Ares. It's got its offset asymmetrical main gun. Here's another pretty wild design for the original Ares. Again, pretty out there. I've seen this, and some of you have seen this same design pop up in some of those RSI Scorpius concepts. Again, where it's got these two sort of flat pieces that move forward. So that's something you sort of see over and over again. I think there's another one of those the other angle of that super triangular version. This is just cool though. It does kind of have the vibe of like a Crusader Hawk to me, which is kind of interesting. And I know the
I think
Hawk
the
is one of your
problem
faves.
It is definitely one of my favorites. I like this design. I think the problem you run into is exactly what you said. The silhouette is so much like a hawk; it loses its own identity.
Loses a little bit of what
So
makes it special. Yeah.
yeah, you need to be able to recognize this ship from a distance. And if you're confused as is this an Anvil Hawk or is this a Crusader Ares, you're losing your identity on both ships, which is
Yeah, I'd
something you
agree with
don't want
that. I mean, there's
in
just sort
visual
of,
design.
yeah, there's sort of a thing, especially in World of Warcraft when they talk about character silhouettes and being able to tell what the character is at distance. They've got away from that over the years, but originally there was this big idea behind those silhouettes being something you could recognize at distance, and I can see the same thing with ships. I think there's a sort of a consideration there. Um, Moving to our next one here, we're going to look at Argo SRV concepts. Argo SRV concepts. And here they are. Pretty radical concepts here. They have a Crusader down here just to
Hmm.
give an idea of the scale here. If I can move out of the way a little bit. Nope, the wrong way. There we go. Oh, there we go. Thank you for the follows, everyone. But you can see here some of the design languages they were playing with. Very interesting, very, very different. I love the fully actuating toe arms here. And essentially the way they worked was when they were at an angle like this and they could change their angle depending on the ship, I think. But you could see the sort of the tractor beam here and the tractor beam here. Now, currently, the way towing works in Star Citizen is it's very much like a tractor beam, like the rope. It's the rope tech, right, that we've seen. That's what tractor beams are. I do hope in the future that what the SRV gets changed to, though, is where that big dish on the back doesn't so much emit a tractor beam rope that grabs onto a ship and pulls it like a rope. I want it to emit more of a field, like like a gravitational field that literally locks the other ship in tow, in tow with the SRV. Where if the SRV makes a turn, the ship makes a turn. Like it's literally turned it almost into one ship. Now they're not connected, but turns it into one ship because it's still acting as a tractor ship, but it's more of an all-encompassing tractor field instead of a beam. Um, some more concepts from that. You can see these ones are actually a little textured out. What's your thoughts on this, VM? I know you were a fan of the SRVs, as I was when they first came out, and the concept of them. What do you think of this type of design? Obviously,
I like
they went kind of far with this. They were feeling it out a bit.
I like that design, and I hope that they can come up with maybe push it a little bit back towards the MPV look,
Mm-hmm.
but with those cargo arms, so you can. I think of a ship that basically instead of towing ships, it's there to tow cargo.
Right.
So which like the MPVs were supposed to do, but this could be a larger 32, or if they ever come out with larger SCU boxes, something
Yeah.
for towing larger cargo.
Yeah. I agree. That could be really cool.
A scaled up version of the MPUV tractor.
Yeah. Kusanagi says, yeah, it can be difficult to handle. Talking about the SRV. That's my issue with the SRV right now is it's too clumsy at doing its its intended role. I think if that was more of an all-encompassing sort of tractor field, then it'd be a more successful ship. So, because I used to have
And
an
to be honest,
SRV, I melted it
I
down.
have I have an SRV. I don't use it because there's no gameplay for it,
Yeah,
and it's just too unwieldy to
yeah,
use in everyday gameplay.
yeah,
So
yeah. Honestly, what the SRV needs to be is a ship that has forward-facing gravitational field lockers to where you as a single pilot can come up to a ship magnetically or gravitationally grab it with that field, and then you move it around. And you can see all of that happening as a pilot and not have to switch views. That's ultimately what needs to happen. The SRV is a useful ship, but I think the gameplay functionality is implemented in the wrong way, and it was just something that they weren't able to really get until it was in game and see it didn't work. You know what I mean? I think we'll get a tow ship in the future though that does that much better. Hopefully it's by Argo, but it'll probably be a different manufacturer.
I would settle if they did some sort of automatic mode where you just target a dead ship and hit your, secondary weapon button, and it creates a tractor beam, and you just drive off with it.
Yeah. Here are some additional renders of Argo SRV concepts. This is option 3 version 1. A little bit different take on what we have now, but still rather interesting. Obviously, this ship here seems a bit smaller. Would have been, I don't think you'd have near the same interior and all that. Still going off the main concept, though, where you're towing from the rear, pilot facing forward, which, I think is part of the issue. Going on, here's some additional renders that they were exploring, some additional shape language here. It's really that first one that I think leaps out the most, is most interesting. So there you go, Argo SRV concepts. Okay, we're moving on. We're going to keep it moving here. Got about 30 more minutes. Let's see here. Going to go to ones especially that I think were interesting, and I'm skipping others. I'm not going through every concept, by the way. I'm not going through every concept. I want to look at the Corsair concepts real quick. You heard me reference those earlier on in regards to the Clipper. Here is some early Corsair concepts. I still really love the look at this. I still really love it. I don't like the cockpit canopy here. I would want that to be a little bit more interesting, but the overall shape of the ship looks freaking cool. I would love for CIG to revisit this. You see it still has a little bit of that Corsair vibe, but they're playing a lot more with vertical wing arrangements. This is what we think the Clipper is going to have, is some sort of vertical wing arrangement, and you're kind of seeing some of that DNA here. Moving further along, it's just a few more angles of it without the vertical wings, going more for angled or horizontally facing wings, but same overall ship sort of ship lines. Still primarily asymmetric though. Moving along further, this is a little bit different of a design. I love the DNA here. The cockpit canopy glass and a few other things look pretty old and not great, but there's an overall look and feel to this ship that I really like. I really do like, and it'd be interesting for them to revisit it.
It's got a lot going on, I'll say that. It's
got a lot going on. It's probably got too much going on. It needs to be refined a little bit more, but there's something interesting here. There's just something interesting here. I still think that Drake would be a great manufacturer for a gunship that is made to compete with the Paladin and Redeemer. Maybe it does it in a slightly different way. While this here doesn't have the guns on it that would be needed, I still think a Drake ship that ties into that gameplay would be interesting. So maybe they could borrow from some of this. Here's some other concepts of the Corsair. And again, it goes back to what I was saying, that the CIG has played with that vertical wing, design language that we think the Clipper has. We don't know for sure, but we think the Clipper has that design language. And you can see here that CIG has played with that some. This looks like the most Star Wars-y ship of Star Wars ships here.
I like it though. No, I like it's a much taller and thinner ship.
Yeah, kind of tall, kind of thin. Got a lot of Drake parts and pieces on it too. It's got that cockpit from the Caterpillar, or not the cockpit, but that little canopy on the Caterpillar on the side wing. You can see it here, and you can kind of see they were just haphazardly kit bashing, but very cool nonetheless. Corsair concepts, everybody. I thought those were interesting to see, especially in relation to the Clipper. I'm going to look at this crazy. We were talking about Crucible earlier. I want to pull up some Crucible concepts. These aren't too wild from what the Crucible that was released to concept sale turned out to be, but there is a little bit more of a refinement here in the overall shape. It's a little less boxy, a little bit more sleek and stuff. I do think that's interesting. By the way, I'll go ahead and say this to everybody. The in my opinion, the Crucible probably will undergo a redesign or a reconcepting on the scale of the Pioneer. Meaning, I honestly suspect that everything about the Crucible is probably going to change, but to appease the people that have purchased the Crucible, they're probably going to try to keep some design elements from the Crucible in place. But I think how the ship functions is going to wildly change, like wildly change, much like the Pioneer did. Now, I think we can all hope that much like the Pioneer, that whatever the reconcepting is, CIG takes the appropriate steps to make the ship, while different, still extreme, probably even more useful than what it was originally going to be. So the Pioneer is a good case study for that, where it went from this massive construction ship that was just going to place pre-built buildings down to where now it does a lot of things. It's got fabrication on it. It can build bases. It's got drone support. It's got resource extractors in the legs. It's just got a lot more going for it and ties into modern gameplay a lot better. And let's hope that they do that with the Crucible. So I just wanted to show some of these old Crucible images. These are super old. We really don't have this look in the game anymore, but I thought it was interesting. Very kind of Battlestar Galactica for me. But this next image is really crazy. Look at these early Anvil Crucible designs. I don't know if you've seen these before, VM.
We need those vertical nacelles.
Yeah.
Any ship at this point.
Yeah.
Just anything at this point, because I absolutely love those.
Yeah, super different. And then they did an alternate of this design that was this. Again, the bridge looks kind of super simple. These are very simple. Remember, everyone, concept art's done at different levels of fidelity. Obviously, these were some very early, very simple, probably very quick sketches. They're not supposed to be like really thought out, but what they're probably looking at more is like silhouette and just overall shape language. Something interesting here. I don't know how this was supposed to fix things. You can see it says workshop down here, but they don't really go into how those things work. But yeah, interesting nonetheless. I thought it was just fun to show these because a lot of people haven't seen this stuff before, and it's just really, really interesting.
That last ship, I know I said Vulture droids before, but that is 100% a Vulture droid.
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I can't unsee it.
100%. All right, now we're going to take a look at another interesting concept. We're going to take a concept or look at the concept art for the Banu. Does anyone know what I'm going to say? Let's see if anyone knows what I'm going to say. We're going to take a look at concept images from the Banu. Mostly Beef says MM. Maybe the Merchantman?
No, you're going to go with Wicklow.
No, I'm not gonna go with Merchantman, but it is MM. It's the Banu MM, but it's not the Merchantman. Does anyone want to see it? We're gonna look at concept images for what at that time was known as the Banu Minuteman. Let's look at that. Here we go. These are literally listed as Banu Minuteman sketches. I think this is what went on to become the Merchantman. Okay. But back then, I think the idea was that it was called the Minuteman, or this is the Defender or something. I'm not really sure. They were listed as Minuteman on the subscriber or the vault. But I thought they were beautiful ships. This one here, this F, I love the look of that. I love the look of that. That thing looks so sleek, forward, aggressive, all that kind of stuff. There's a couple more of these too, so I'm going to go. Deco says slaps credit card on the table. I'm going to go to the next slide here. Oops, did I go too far? Yep. Well, let's see. This one's just a slight change. You can see where they went from super angular on the arms to then they started curving stuff out. You start to see the Defender over here, right? You see them start curving things out. This one here is kind of interesting, the way it curves back. I think that's really slick. And then on the next one, these are just wildly different ship languages again. Again, you can see up here. Oh, you can't see it. Let me zoom down. Everyone can see up here. It says Banu Minuteman Sketches. Maybe this is a fighter from the Banu that we don't have in game yet. I'm not sure. But I thought this was interesting. Again, these are also Minuteman sketches here. This one being very, very, very Defender-like.
The recurved nacelles are very cool, and I hope we get to see that on future Banu ships because it pushes the alien factory, I think, a little bit more than what we have now.
I agree. I agree. So there you go. There's the Banu Minutemen. Let's see here. Going next, we're going to look at. Here's a really fun one. We're going to look at some Aegis Hammerhead concepts. Okay. Here is the original concept, early concept explorations for the Aegis Hammerhead. This is very reminiscent of, I know that Republic, Star Wars Republic Hammerhead type ship. I forget what it's called. I know chat will correct me on this because I know we get a lot of Star Wars fans. Sorry, I'm more a Star Trek fan, but there you go.
Fine as long as you get the pronunciation correct.
VMXE is like, otherwise you will start losing viewers immediately. Anyways, I just thought this was pretty interesting. Thoughts on this?
I like the Hammerhead we have now, to be honest.
I do too.
Really like that. Has a vague outline of the StarCraft battlecruiser.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 1 second, everybody.
Yeah, it does look more fragile.
Yeah, it's more fragile.
It's like you'd snap its neck.
Here's the thing, though. It does look fragile, but imagine if this was on a wholly different scale than the Hammerhead we have. The Hammerhead we have, what's 110 meters? Imagine if this was like a 350 meter long ship, like a big capital. Like a big capital cruiser. That would be kind of interesting.
Sorry, stand by. My microphone stand just fell over.
So you were just too excited.
I'd want to beef up I was too excited. I was about to say that if it was capital size, I'd still want to bulk up the body.
Yeah.
I can see that. I'm going to put you on hold for a moment because I need to screw my microphone back.
No problem. Hey, it's Guardian in chat. Everybody give Guardian a little hello. Guardian also does great content. Yeah, really interesting there with the Aegis Hammerhead early concept explorations. By the way, everyone, again, thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. Really appreciate that support. It's hard to keep up with all the follows coming in, of course, because of the contest. But quick reminder, if you want to get in on that Perseus giveaway, you can scan that QR code. We'll be giving it away on December 2nd, or you can go to the Gleam link I just pinned into chat, okay? If you want to help support me, StarJump, as I continue to make content and other cool stuff, hopefully you think it's cool, and you want to make any kind of one-time sort of donation, one-off, because you don't want to do Patreon or something, which I totally understand, you can use my coffee link down there below. Really appreciate that support. You're all amazing. If you want to get into today's giveaway, which is for a Sitcon digital goodies pack, it's very easy. If you're on YouTube, you're just going to go to the link pinned to the top of chat, click on that link. It'll take you to my Perseus video. Leave a comment there. And I'm going to pull one random comment from today. And then if you're on Twitch, we're going to do a Stream Racers. We'll have the winner from that. We'll put you in the random wheel of names. We'll spin it. And the winner will get the Sitcon digital goodies pack. Pretty cool pack, actually. So there you go. You get a plushie Van Duel. That's worth it alone. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to look at one of VM's favorite ships, the Anvil Hawk. The Anvil Hawk concepts. I'm just going to say the Anvil Hawk needs to get these little winglets at the top again. I think those are super cool. This is back when it had 4 foldable wings. There's the 2 wing we know, but with the wings that stick straight back and don't fold in, still got the little winglets up here. There's another look at that from a different angle. And then there is the 4-wing version of the ship again. Just slightly different look and feel to the existing Hawk. And the reason I pulled this is that I think it would be cool to get some Hawk variants that maybe is one, like a Hawk that's like a heavier version that can hold double amount of bounty or something. I think could be kind of cool. So I know the Hawk's a bounty hunting ship, but maybe it's a heavy bounty hunting ship. Or I could see the Hawk being like a very small little mine layer ship where that back thing is filled with like size 2 mines or something for fighters or something. I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool stuff they could do with it, but I love the Hawk design language so much that a beefier version that has like 4 foldable wings or something could be really slick. I haven't given it much thought, but that's my assessment. Thoughts on the Hawk?
I am 100% on making more Hawk variants.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's been talked about in the past. I don't know if it's
It
ever
has.
moved.
Yeah, I think CIG has. And in lore, I know there's some references to at least 1 or 2 other Hawk variants. I know there was like the Shadow Hawk and
Yep.
something else. Yeah. All right. Next.
There is room to grow there.
Can anyone guess what this concept is?
You found my remote control.
There it is, everybody. There is VM's remote control. Can anyone guess what this is? There's a clue sitting on the right side. Mostly Beef says X1. Shepherd says C2. Quiet Chaos says C2. I think you're right, everyone. This is early concepts for the Hercules Star Lifter. Pretty sweet, different. You can see the idea was there it would still have the drive on, drive off sort of idea behind the Hercules. This one though is more like a cargo platform in terms of like it so almost looks like a space station or something versus an actual ship where like the cockpit's forward facing, engines out the rear. This one looks like it could fly in any direction. Very interesting, very different. Moving along.
It has that 4 quadruped. I'm trying to think. Going back to Star Wars ships, the landers again in Episode 1 that the my brain is shot. I can't think of any ship names. Chat, please help me out again.
Yeah.
Did I get it right? Those landing ships they use in Star Wars Episode 1 that were used by the
Trade. Yeah, he says Trade Union Droid.
Trade Federation
drop.
land.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It has kind of that feel with those 4 overwings.
Yeah.
So it's designed to be an actual lifter. It's not a freighter. It's a orbit to surface and back.
Right. Yeah. Moving on to some other wild, crazy ass ideas that don't look Crusader at all. But again, interesting that CIG is exploring such things. Again, some of these original, like just pencil sketches, really, really cool stuff. Though I love seeing this early concept work. This one I thought was super cool. There's nothing in in the current manufacturers that like do anything like this, but I love the look of it. Just very different, very, very different. Again, the reason I love these is I love that super wide, almost flying wing look. I still want CIG to do something like that with some manufacturer. Really like it. Here's another one. Again, tell me how imposing that is with just the ultra wide wings. I just love the look of it. CIG has moved off of that in general. I think with ships, they tend to be longer than they are wider almost across the board. But it would be interesting to have some ships that buck that trend just to give us some, variety.
I would love to see some craft like this, maybe not as flyable in game, but as flavor ships. So like, for instance, the barges and Crusader that float around, having more traffic like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool. We need to get a Crusader barge in Fleet Viewer one day. That'd be cool.
We do, actually. You're right.
Yeah. This was obviously the cover of today's show image. I just love the rear end of this ship. The front end's a little, but I love the back end of it. I think it looks really, really cool. I love the like panels here that go down the side with the big number there. I just love the look of this one. I think it's really successful. Not finished or anything, but a really, really interesting design. More designs here. This is starting to get parts and pieces of the Hercules Starlifters we do know and love, especially here with the bridge area, the front of the ship coming through. You can see that here pretty well. Now start to build onto the rear of it, and you start to get closer and closer to the Hercules we know. Moving further along here, you can see further iteration on that. You can see where it's headed. It's starting to take on more of those familiar things. This one, they labeled this CR3 here. I don't know. I just thought this was super cool. This one again labeled Crusader Starlifter down here. Very different, but again, you can really see that Hercules C2 vibe starting to come into this. And last but not least, here's another version of that one we saw at the very beginning, only this one sort of has only half of that ship sort of present, sort of smaller profile. So thought that was interesting. Now,
I wanted to look up who the concept artist was for some of these because they look like they're hand drawn. They might be digitally drawn, but they are. Most of the concepts we see are done purely in 3D, so it's still great to see the old school approach to hand drawn and sketch shapes when it comes to concept art. I tried to look it up, couldn't find it.
I think it's just a lot of different people, but because of time, we got some giveaways we got to do. I'm going to show one more. There's a lot more I have. We'll probably do a part 2 of this. But the last one I wanted to show was just one that really stuck out to me. I would love for CIG to do this. These are concepts for the MISC Prospector. And when you see these, you're going to see the Prospector vibe, but it doesn't feel like a MISC ship either. It kind of feels like if MISC and Argo had a baby. And I love it. It almost makes me want a line of ships where Argo and MISC are collaborating. And I'm going to show you that now. Here's concept work for the MISC Prospector. Tell me these don't look cool. I know they look like little submarines, but tell me these don't look cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got
plenty.
Why
do we not have more like that?
I know. Got plenty of angles for it. Again, it's got that vibe of MISC and Argo having a baby. And it's just super, super cool. I mean, the design language there with the smooth, highly painted, curved parts, but then cladded out with Drake or Argo style, industrial greebling is just such a nice contrast on these ships. I love it. There's another angle there. I mean, tell me that does not look cool as hell. Timothy Rogers says, I like everything but the color.
Incredibly cool.
Yeah, the funny thing to me is I love the color contrasting with the more industrial parts. Now, you could switch out the color. It could be yellow, it could be blue, whatever. But I love that sense of contrast there. And again, it just feels really, really good. Even these like big, like smoothed out areas for the engines feel really killer. Almost as if Kruger was going to make a industrial ship. Like, let's say Kruger said, okay, we're going to do an industrial ship that takes elements of our smoothed out, ultra clean surfaces mixed with some of the industrial hardware that you would need to do the job. It's very much this. I don't know. I just love this stuff. These are some of my favorites when I was looking at concept imagery.
I appreciate the fact that MISC went from orange paint to bare metal in the final design.
Yeah.
Argo went from yellow to orange.
Right.
And Drake took the yellow.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a shift, but I think it fits all three quite well for their industrial design.
Yeah. And here's the last image there where the color has been changed, but you can kind of see there's something really interesting there. Now, these are a little bit more MISC and because they don't have those guardrails on the windows and stuff, but I don't know. I just love some of those early images I showed. Just there's something that speaks to me here. I would love for them to revisit this. I think that would be really cool. Thank you, Mucho Dineros, for subscribing. Appreciate that very much. All right, everybody, we are going to do our SitCon Digital Goodies Pack giveaway. It's that time. You know it's that time. We're going to drag up a few things like we always do. We're going to drag up random comment picker, and we're going to drag up random wheel of names. You know how we do it here. Random wheel of names. Let me drag this over. Let's see. Okay, let me clear out the names. All right, we're ready for new names. Okay, we're going to go to random comment picker. We're going to take the YouTube video. Hopefully you all got your comments in on YouTube to the link pinned to the top of chat. I think I said it enough. So we're going to plug that video in. We're going to go to advanced options, go for the after date, and we're going to lock in today. And we started streaming at, what was it? 1 o'clock. But I'm actually going to back it up a little bit like I usually do to, it was about 1:50, I think, that I started rolling. So there we go. Today's date, 1:50 p.m. Wait a second, was it 1:50? Let me double check my stream time here. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. Let me just check. Let me check. 17 minutes ago. Bear with me. Yep. About not 1:50, 12:50 is when I got us started. I knew I was wrong. 12:50. There we go. All right, here we go, everybody. Going to put a random comment. Hopefully you got your comment on YouTube. It's been pinned to the top of chat this entire time. You just leave a comment over there. You can have a few more seconds to do that. Leave a comment there. It can be hi, hello, how are you? Just leave a comment on that video. I am going to be pulling a random comment from there. I'll put whoever that random comment we pull will go into the random wheel of names. We'll then do a stream racers, and the winner from that will go into the random wheel of names, and that is who will win the if I can talk here, that is who will win the Sitcon Digital Goodies Pack. Do not forget, if you want to get in on that Perseus giveaway, though, scan the QR code, look for the Gleam link in chat, and that will get you to the Perseus contest stuff. Okay, here we go, everybody. We're picking a random comment now from the YouTube video. Picking now. Good luck, everybody. The shark is hunting. All right, and it's Ann W. Johnson. Ann W. Johnson. So we're going to put you in the wheel of names. By the way, everyone, if you win, you have 2 days to get in touch with me on Discord. 2 days to get in touch with me on Discord. If you don't, it will go to the second place winner. Okay, whoever comes as a runner-up, that's who will get it. So Ann W. Johnson, congrats if you are in chat. And from YouTube, if you win, you will have to contact me on Discord. Okay, hopefully I'm clear about that. All right, next, we're going to do stream racers, everybody. I know you have all done stream racers with me before. Let me get it loaded up, and we will get our winner from stream racers. Bear with me. This game is starting up. Don't hit exclamation race yet. It's not quite time, but it's about to be. It's about to be. Stand by. Okay, let me switch over to stream racers. Here we go. We're going to start a new game. We're going to do Dodgy Theme Park like we normally do. And if you want to get in on the Stream Racers race, all you have to do is exclamation race in chat, everybody. Exclamation race will get you in the race. You got just a few minutes here, about a minute to go ahead and enter the race. I always enter the race for fun, but if I do win, it will go to the second place winner, okay? Make sure you get in there. We have 50 racers now and climbing. You want to get in on the Stream Racers race, make sure you hit exclamation race. We had a great turnout today, people. 115 over on Twitch, which is absolutely incredible. And for a while there, we had upwards of 200 on YouTube. YouTube, absolutely amazing. Appreciate you all hanging out with us today. The YouTube community has been killing it. Thank you very much for the support, everybody. While we're waiting for racers to jump in, once again, I do appreciate the support to me towards my journey towards a new GPU so that I can continue to make awesome content for you all. Appreciate it. I'll put that coffee link back down there in chat. Thank you for that support. Have some amazing support. I will be, if you do donate, I will be reaching out to you via personal message and saying thank you. So. Saw Good Game, saw Ruben all join the race. Appreciate it. Few more seconds here, everybody, to get in the race. Exclamation race. Will we get over 100 racers? Let's hope so. VM, did you enter the race?
I did.
You better. Okay, good. Exclamation race, everybody. Exclamation race. 93 racers. Can we get to 100 racers? Can we get to 100 racers? It's okay if we don't. I'm going to hit start. There's a 20-second countdown, so we have a little bit more time to join. But get in now if you can, everybody. Get in now if you can. Okay, 95 racers currently queued. I have hit start. You have 18 seconds to get in on the race. 15 seconds left to get in on the race. Exclamation race. And remember, once you're racing, you can do exclamation boost to get a boost. Make sure you do it on a straightaway or you're going to fly off the track. All right, everybody. Looks like we've got 97 racers. Here we go, everybody. Good luck.
You know what we need, Grim? We need this but with star citizenships.
We do. Someone needs to make that for us. If anyone wants to make that for us, you let me know. Up, it looks like Rolf Weapon is out to a strong lead. People are using their boosts to do huge ramps, and it's going to hurt you because you're going to go into the river. You got to be careful on those straightaways. We got a huge crowd of racers here going around. Everyone's looking good. Okay, looks like they're coming around the road here. Who's in the lead? Rolf Weapon, Raul Mateo, and the Grumpy Mando in our 1, 2, and 3 position. Coming around the second bend now. We're going to keep an eye on the lead pack here for a moment. Dag flew off the track. All right, everyone's making their way around the hardest part of the course. Uh-oh, looks like we've had a change in leadership. Rolf must have fell off the track. Grumpy Mando now in the lead. Hit that wall pretty hard. Rufus EU, though, pulling up a strong second. Dream Wraith just hit a cone. Uh-oh, we got Toasted. Is that Toasted? Is that the name? Let me bring the camera down here. Deco the Gecko. Fun Family Gaming now in second place. Toasted is in a strong lead, though. A really strong lead going down the long straightaway before we get to the finish line. If you have a boost and you haven't used it, on this back straightaway is a great place to use it. Oh, Toasted is off the track. His dreams crushed. Oh, that's painful. That's painful, Toasted. Sorry.
Toasted is toasted?
He's toasted. Grumpy Mando now in the lead. Texas Horny Toad pulling up the third place position, mostly beef in number 2. Grumpy Mando coming down to the finish line. All right, everybody, let's get this camera down and see what happens. Now is your final chance, and we'll watch the field come in here. Grumpy Mando, it's first for Grumpy Mando. Nice lock in there. Mostly beef number 2. Texas Horny Toad pulling in number 3. Let's watch the racers come in for their cross finish line here for the next 50 seconds, and then we will do the wheel spin to see who wins the CitizenCon goodies pack. Quick reminder, Grumpy Mando or W. Johnson, whichever one of you wins the random wheel of names, you will have 2 days to contact me to claim your prize, okay? If you do not contact me via Discord, you will have to send a friend invite. I will accept it. But if you don't get a hold of me in 2 days, the prize will go to the second place winner, okay? Second place winner. Keep that in mind. There's Ryan Matt Gaming coming down the last stretch here towards the finish line. Hitting the ramp and... Oh, I got hit by the hoop there. All right, everybody. We always let the last countdown go to get any stragglers here. 3, 2, and 1. Quiet Chaos did not quite finish. That's okay. All right, everybody, we're switching back over. Grumpy Mando is our winner, so we're putting that in here. Grumpy Mando. All right, there's our 2 winners. I'm going to copy both of you, and I'm going to duplicate it a lot just to kind of make the wheel a bit more interesting. Right, that's what we've been doing lately. Okay, there we go. We're going to hit spin here. Good luck to W. Johnson and Grumpy Mando. Remember, you will need to contact me via Discord. Here we go. Good luck. 3, 2, 1, spinning.
Spin to win.
There it is, Grumpy Mando. Grumpy Mando, congratulations. You won a Star Citizen SitCon goodie pack, courtesy of your good buddy StarJump Cram. All you got to do is contact me via Discord or send me a message here on Twitch. Either one of those will work, Grumpy Mando. You can send me a whisper on Twitch, or you can message me on Discord, but get a hold of me and I'll get you worked out for your prize. It's been a great discussion today, VM. I really appreciate you hanging with me today and talking these concept
Thanks
chips.
For
Yeah. Yeah, go
Thanks
ahead.
for having me on.
Yeah, anytime, buddy. You are, as you know, a star jumper, so you're welcome on anytime. And everyone, we did not get through all the concept ships, but I'll do a part 2 of this, and we'll get to others. There's just a lot of great designs to look at throughout Star Citizen's history. Remember, starting next week, we will get really serious about our IAE coverage too. By the way, I just wanted to point that out to everyone. Oops, one second. We'll get a lot more serious, though, about that IAE coverage because I think we're going to start getting a lot more leaks, a lot more information going into next week. Now, on the Twitch side, I am going to raid someone. They had me on their podcast this morning, so I want to return the favor by shooting a raid to them. I'm going to send you all over to Space Tomato Gaming. Make sure you give Keenan a little bit of that Star Jump love. Hit follow if you haven't. Thank you for all the support, everyone. Go get in that Perseus giveaway and make sure you share that with your friends and people outside the Star Jump sort of ecosphere. I really appreciate it. And once again, thank you. Going to start the raid here. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Look for me to do another stream, probably Tuesday, my normal Shipyard stream. If I do a stream before that, though, it will be because some big news leaked out. But see you all then. Everybody have a great